Hello, and welcome to the Change Podcast from the Joseph and Evelyn Lowery Institute for Justice and Human Rights. I'm Blake Osborne, and I'm the Director of Programming at the Lowery Institute. As we prepare for the upcoming primary elections in Georgia, we at the Lowery Institute, through the Change Podcast, will be hosting a series of conversations with different candidates vying for office in Georgia. The purpose of these interviews, which will be released prior to Election Day, is to spotlight the importance of participating in our democracy and to discuss issues from the oft overlooked perspective of college students. These conversations will be hosted by myself and other Lowery Institute change agents. We're focusing on local elections because this is where student power can have the most immediate impact. Statewide elections, including the offices of Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Governor, play a critical role in shaping the laws that affect college students across Georgia. The decisions made by these offices affect everything from the cost of living, criminal justice, election reform, and economic development strategies, issues that directly impact every student's daily life. Before we begin, I want to be clear about our commitment to fair and comprehensive coverage. While we are speaking with individual candidates, we have invited all of the candidates in each race to participate in similar conversations. We are so grateful to those candidates who have accepted our invitations and will continue to reach out to those who have not responded as of the filming and recording of this interview. Democracy thrives on informed choice, and our students deserve to hear directly from everyone seeking their votes and the votes of the community. The Lowery Institute remains committed to nonpartisanship, and conversations should not be seen as an endorsement of a particular candidate. The Joseph and Evelyn Lowery Institute was founded on the principle that education, civic engagement, social justice, and community health are interconnected pillars of meaningful change. For over a decade, we've been developing change agents, students who don't just study social justice, but actively create policy solutions and community interventions. Our student engagement priorities center on authentic empowerment, not just encouraging students to vote, but ensuring that they have the knowledge, skills, and platforms necessary to shape the policies that govern their lives. Today's conversation embodies that mission, as our student host takes the lead in questioning today's candidate about the issues that matter most to their generation. As we begin, allow me to introduce our change agent host, Lawren Wilson, a current senior at Clark Atlanta University who will be helping to guide this conversation today. We are so grateful for you that you are joining us. Like, subscribe, follow us on social media and YouTube for more in our series talking to these candidates. Now, please enjoy the following interview and have a great day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lawren Wilson. I'm a senior political science major at Clark Atlanta University. And today we have Ms. Cam Ashling, who is running for Secretary of State for Georgia. So I'll let her introduce herself and give us a brief overview of who she is and what brings her to the Change podcast.
Thanks so much, Lawren. I am so appreciative of you guys taking the time to make sure that our young voters are engaged and educated and that their vote really counts. My name is Cam Ashling. I am the SOS GOAT. Okay. I will be the greatest goat of all time with your help because one, I am a goat farmer.
Wow.
Right? When was the last time we had one of these farmers on the ticket, and who is fun, who is engaging, but who is also very, very passionate about protecting voters. I've been a voting leader for over 10 years in Georgia. I've ran 20 plus people team chasing absentee like ballots and curing them for voters, especially you young folks, because during the time when we had that exact signature match, a lot of college student, their signature when they were in their 20s did not match when they were 18, you know. So, but anyways, I'm also a financial expert. I'm a certified financial planner, a chartered alternative investment analyst, a business owner, a nonprofit founder, a single mom, and one of the interesting things, I'm also a political operative, not a politician. Okay, I'm not a politician, but I have ran statewide campaigns before as Senator Ossoff's, AAPI constituency director, and most recently Senator Warnock's AAPI constituency director. But I also ran on the side, get out the vote for college students like you guys. So if you want me to do that again for us, and if you want somebody who can run the whole office on day one, that is here. That right here.
Thank you for that. That was
Thank
so
you.
cool. Okay, so you kind of started us off, but to get deeper into that, our first question is, why do you want to run for Secretary of State? And what do you believe sets you apart from other candidates?
You know, I'm running to really to give us a fighting, winning chance in November. Okay, we have lost this seat for 18 years now, and we can't afford to lose it again. And so, I want to go fight for us in this race because that's really what I'm really good at. I'm a political operative, but I want to do it from the inside, and at the same time, I just happen to have all the credentials that perfectly match this office and what this office does. Democrats have been thinking that this is just like the voter suppression machinery, and that is one part of what it is when it's purging 500,000 voters. Okay, we are definitely not for that. But it also runs like 1.5 million business registrations. It also is in charge of professional licensing. If some of you later on want to be like, a nurse or go and become an electrician, or a counselor, all those professional licensing run through the Secretary of State office. And then, of course, I'm also a securities professional, and this office is in charge of that part too. And so I'm running because I can hit 1, 2, 3, 4 of the pillars of this office. My other friends cannot. And when they go up against the Republican, we are going to be at such a disadvantage. We cannot fix that. You can't fix it with money. You can't fix it with more canvassing. It's suitability to the office, and it's strategically like how to get independent voters, right? So the only reason why I'm running is to win. I am the best candidate and to do that because I just happen to be in the best position to be the most winnable and to beat the Republican who is likely going to be the chief operating officer. So if we can operate the office better, we have a shot. We have to see it for how the rest of the state sees this office, and they don't see it as the Department of Justice or the extension of the Attorney General's office. They see it as a business administration office. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. But I'm very passionate about this, if you can tell, okay?
Yes, for sure.
Let me help us, for goodness gracious. I've been helping us for a very long time. I'm not for show. I'm not a politician. I'm not endorsed by insiders of the party. I want to be endorsed by you guys, okay? The people that this office will affect. Because what I want to do for you all is get 100,000 more registered small businesses out of you. Why? because we can't really depend on big corporations to take care of us anymore. We need to start taking care of ourselves. I want you guys to own your own equity, own your own business, your own brand. Then you can sell it, transfer it, whatever you want to do with it. You need to start creating the dream you want, because I don't think there's going to be all these jobs out there to just let you create and do. You got to start making what you want. And that also solves our unemployment, kind of like issue with new grads. Okay, I'm worried about you guys. And as a finance person, that's what I want to do in this office, is to use this office to empower our young generation to business ownership, to skilled trades, because whether or not you know, if you're a plumber or an electrician, pretty soon you're going to make more money than the attorneys, okay, and the doctors. So start thinking about, like, how do I make money, leverage technology, and do it now so that I don't get stuck on what could be universal basic income later in like 5 years. So I want us to think ahead, and I want to be in this office to help us get through the next 4+ years. That's going to drastically change our economic structure and our workforce. And I can do that through this office because it's a business engine. Okay, I want us to remember the SOS office is a business engine. We need a business person who is a operator.
Absolutely. So on to our next question.
Yes, I'm sorry. I got a lot to say to you guys.
No, you're good. You're good. We just want to make sure we're getting as much information as we can.
Yes.
As much information as we can. Okay, so our next question is gonna go more into a different route in like protecting democracy. So do you believe that our democracy, that as we know it today, is under threat?
Absolutely. It is under, yes.
What does that mean to you, potentially, as Secretary of State?
And then what I do as potentially Secretary of State?
Yeah, like what does that mean to you as Secretary of State, right? And how will you carry that?
Is our democracy under threat? Oh my God, it is on fire. Okay, if you're not upset, you're not paying attention. We just had the voting rights gutted. And then even before then, because I've been in this fight for a long time, ever since like SB 202, after we won during the flip the Senate campaign, they put out laws that included the ability for a partisan board to take over county election, the takeover clause. And even back then, as a election leader, I sued the state of Georgia with the Coalition for Good Governance over this very thing that we are now having a problem with. So do I think our democracy and our election is under threat? Absolutely. And it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day. Okay. There was another poll that came out that more than half of the Republicans are okay with Trump taking over our elections. All right. That is absolutely a problem. And then now we have the voting right issue, but there's going to be more. And now they're about to gerrymander the state and eliminate Black voting power systematically. This is nothing new, but this is nothing new. Okay, listen. Stacey was already on top of this in 2018 when I started becoming very active in this space after realizing, oh my God, I just can't vote and then make a few phone calls for Hillary anymore. I really got to go out there on the ground. And so I did. And in this seat, what I want to do is absolutely protect fair, transparent, audible elections that everybody can trust. And so that we're not having to deal with multiple lawsuits over and over again and put that to rest, and then not stop cleaning the roads, okay? But you still have to kind of do that, but not recklessly do it the way that they are doing it.
Yeah.
Because if they recklessly do it and then they purge 500,000 voters, and then 50,000 of those people should not have been purged, when in the state of Georgia, we are a battleground state, that is the margin of victory.
Mhm.
You know, we won Biden by 11,700 votes. I was there on the ground. I think we did that. So we still have to fight like hell, right? You guys, listen to me. You're the only group of voters who can outvote the baby boomers. The problem is they religiously show up to vote and you don't. Okay? And this is power that you're giving away to another segment that does not care about the environment, for one. Why? Because they're not going to be around that much longer to deal with it. You will. Okay? You guys got to breathe. We still need trees.
Yeah.
Okay. But beyond that, you know, women's rights, everything we ever care about is on the ballot. But like I said before, we know how strongly I feel about, you know, voting rights and protecting voters and maintaining the state's sovereignty. Okay, we'll absolutely never allow Trump or anybody after him to try and take away Georgia's sovereignty to run our own elections. And I will call every other state, because usually I do work with other states to do things, and make sure they stand with us, because the moment that happens to the state of Georgia, guess what happens? They're going to go after every other blue state down the list until they wipe us completely out. And this is why this midterm is so important. And so a lot of young voters are engaged during the presidential years, okay? Because it's more fun and there's a lot going on. And we skip the midterm right now. And even more important in this race is the primary for the midterms, because that's when we pick our fighters to go fight the Republicans.
Yeah.
So I don't want you guys, do not vote for your friend. Do not vote for somebody you have political alliance with, or brother of the friend. It's got to be, who do we think can beat the Republican in November? Okay. Before, maybe it wasn't that big of an issue, but it's so critical right now, because right now we have this great opportunity to flip the state and have some leverage to protect ourselves, because they are coming after us so bad. Yes, Lawren. Yeah.
They are.
You need to stop me when I go on a very long discussion, but I want you guys to know how critical it is.
Yeah.
Check your voter page. Go to iwillvote.com. Make sure you didn't get purged.
Yeah.
And then take your happy self today. This is the last day to early vote. If this podcast is today, Friday, and then the last chance you have to save your democracy is Tuesday, May 19th. Okay?
Absolutely, yeah. And we're going to be helping people get out to those polls and pushing it out as much as we can. So, on to our next question.
Okay.
College students have stated that employment, the economy, and the protection of our civil and human rights are important issues. How would you address these concerns during your time in office?
So the business side we can address for sure. You know, because what I want to do is make the licensing process easy for people who are, you know, getting their various licenses to get their license, right? Because you guys are gonna, you know, come out of school and you're gonna go and into a specialty of some sort. So having a faster system that we can streamline, that it's not lagging by 2 months as the current occupants are running it as, okay? This is the difference. I do not have time for lagging paperwork because people need their licenses to work and make a living. And so I will make it easier for us to do that. But I also want to not just be just sitting there waiting for you guys. I want to go out there into the state of Georgia and drive up more demand and help people pick what careers will pay well, will stand up against technology and the interruption that is coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. And then tell me the other part of that
So
question.
we spoke about employment, the economy, and the protection of our civil and human rights. So you kind of touched on that with the last issue we talked about, and protecting our democracy and Georgia's sovereignty when it comes to our elections and carrying them out in the way that we see fit. So thank you for that answer.
Yeah, yes. But we need to also grow the economy. Okay. Part of the problem is, as Democrats, we are passionate about social justice. I mean, I'm very passionate about social justice. This is why I'm on this side of the party and not the other side. But we also need to be economically empowering our base at the same time, and not just leave them to be feeling depressed that they can't overcome the racism, can't overcome the sexism, can't overcome the the homophobia, anything like that, right? I came from absolutely nothing. I came from being a 1988 political refugee. My family came in a trunk. My parents were not these fancy Asian that drove around Lexus. Okay. They were warehouse workers. My dad was an electrician. At the height of his career, the other part of his career, he was a forklift driver in a warehouse. And my mom worked night shift for like 7 years. And I also face racism and sexism and being, small, even sizeism, if that's the thing. Right? But we got to overcome these things, getting really educated and then getting really smart and being strategic how we do things so that we protect ourselves from these bad social ills. And then we fight them at the same time. We jump these hurdles and break them down. And then we can lift other people up if we're also not in a state of poverty. Okay. Yeah. Quit with the socialism. You do not want the government to be controlling your security and your financial happiness, because it's an easily abusive relationship. Okay. And so I want anybody who's watching this, if you get nothing out of anything I said, I want you to be economically empowered. Money will talk. Money, people will listen to you. They don't care what race you are if you just got a lot of money. In a way, that's how even the Asian community has fought racism. We became like as educated as possible to kind of fight it. And then we try to be economically well off so we can hire attorneys if they're going to be racist towards us and whatever else. So this is what I want you guys to do. Okay. There's a shift in the economy that's coming. I want you guys to capitalize on that and figure out, how do I make that work for my interests, for my family's interests, and to flip the script, because there's a lot of shuffling going on.
Indeed. All right. So many college students have mentioned that protecting their rights to vote is an extremely important issue, especially now with Fulton County ballots being seized in the past few months. How do we protect college students' rights to vote, and how do we keep them engaged in the process amidst so much distrust in the media?
You got to exercise your right to vote. Okay, you got to show up in large numbers, because that gives you a powerful voting block, and when you guys have a powerful voting block, you can then change the laws and the rules into your favor. And more college people need to run for office, okay? But run for something you can actually manage. Don't run for something that's something you can do later when you have a lot more experience to do. But run for office, be more engaged, and organize. And then if there is something wrong, speak up and fight it. We have so many organizations here to help and protect you guys and your vote and your voice. Okay. And then register more people, right? Like I said, you have the numbers. You're the only giant block of voters that can change society. But you gotta be consistent and religiously voting and overcoming whatever challenges they throw at you. Don't give up, because they will try to make it harder and harder for you to vote. So if you got to do 10 things and everybody's got to do just 3 things to go vote, yeah. But you go do the 10 things and then you dang vote. You do not let that discourage you. And then you go fight like hell.
Yeah.
You guys have huge untapped power. You have no idea that you have. As a voting block, as a political block.
Absolutely. And us at the Lawry Institute, that's why you've been trying to just mobilize students to not just, educate themselves, but put their boots on the ground and get out and vote and do what needs to be done so that we can make these changes in our government, because it is really up to us. So
go beyond that even. Go start young PACs, okay? Political action committees. Okay, this is what I did when Trump won. I'm like, oh my God, we are so screwed. And I went and I started a PAC. Like I knew what I was doing. I do not think you've got to know what you're doing to do this. Okay, it is a time of courage. Okay, and be brave. Be obnoxious, doesn't matter. You gotta organize more so that you don't lose the opportunities that the older generation had, like what I had.
Yeah.
And the baby boomers, okay? Yeah. Okay. And I'm running to make sure that American dream that I had, you guys still have. When I got here, as an 8-year-old kid who didn't read or write in any language, at least I was in a state where we all knew that racism was wrong and that women had equal rights to men. And as a little kid, I was like, oh, this is so great. I got at least a fair playing ground to start on. And that American dream and that opportunity is what I want you guys to still have, but you're gonna have to fight for it. Okay?
Absolutely, for sure. All right, so one of the challenges facing the Secretary of State's office are the recent changes and expanded powers of non-elected state election boards. What role should these non-elected officials have in establishing rules for elections? And how can we continue to hold people accountable? Did you get that question?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. I can answer this question. Okay. Any question you have. Okay. Very opinionated about a lot of things. So I used to go to the State Board of Election meetings and make public comments when they are trying to propose something snotty. Okay. As Secretary of State, I will push the legislator to, one, reinstate me as chair of the State Election Board. Okay, they kind of stripped that power away, and they're trying to make this office less powerful so they can do what they want to do with unelected officials, and you hit like an amazing point. That is a phenomenal question. She knows what she's talking about, because I think these people should be elected, not appointed.
Yeah.
Right. And I would advocate for that as a Secretary of State. You know, you can't. That is a law that we need to change through the legislature. But having somebody in that office saying that we can get traction on it.
Yeah.
You know, and we sue if they put out something that is discriminatory, unfair, unjust, can't be implemented, impossible to deal with. We sue, and then we have it removed. We protest certain laws and regulation changes that they want to put out. You know, so the resistance got to be still the resistance.
Yeah.
You know, but we got to be smart how we resist. This is what I'm saying. Okay. My strategy to win in November is to fix the office problems operationally for everybody who use it. And there are nearly 2 million Georgians who directly use this office. And I'm going to go start a rebellion. Okay? Because as a small business owner, we're all tired of the office kind of just using us as a piggy bank. They take our money, they do nothing for us, right? But that is what you do to win back the office. And when you win back the office, you can then stand for fair, free election. I will expand voting access coast to coast, north and south. Okay, this is my jam. And I want to get more young voters to register. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to incentivize you all to do this, but I will get you.
Well, we'll be working together. So the Lawren,
yes.
We're
I
always
know I got you already. We're going to go get everybody else who's
Yes.
like, it's not cool, or I don't need to do that. No, you know, you go vote and you become empowered beyond just for you know, just social justice. Okay, I want everybody to go vote and be economically empowered too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so on to our last question. This one is it's relating to some of the recent decisions we've been seeing in our judicial system. So recently, the Supreme Court has announced a major decision that will be impacting elections. It already has impacted elections. Many states have already announced plans to redraw districts. What are your thoughts about this decision and its potential impact on Georgians?
Well, when I first heard about it, I practically vomit. I don't know. We all should be feeling that gut-wrenching feeling that I came into this office to do, which is to stand up and fight for this democracy. It is obviously under the worst state of attack we have ever seen. You know, like everybody's turning in their grave at this point. And you know, and I feel all the pain that the Black community feels from this, having you guys fought tooth and nail, and you gave that right, not just for the Black community when you did this, it impacted like the Asian American population, the Latino population, and everybody else, right? It's sad, but we just now have to go out there and fight again, okay? History has that tendency to want to repeat itself, and when bad things come back up, you just got to stand up and go out on the street and fight with every means possible. But right now, the most important, the highest impact way to fight is to go, what's the word?
Is to
vote.
Vote.
Exactly. Okay. It's free. It's still free right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, right now.
Right now, it's still free. Right now, there aren't ICE agents or the police and everything guarding the dang polling site. Okay, but that could happen in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because they're gonna say, oh, there were like bad people voting, and so we now have to put security at the location, and we know that intimidates and discourages our people from going out to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. So we do have to go out and fight. Thank you so much for reminding us of that.
Fight like
And
hell. Like
we hope to
it is the
continue.
end.
Yeah,
Practically.
it can be, but
Mm.
it won't be, because we are going to mobilize and we're going to do the work that has to be done in order to get our country on the right track. So thank you so much for coming in today and for speaking with us and for sharing your thoughts and why you should be Secretary of State. Good luck on all of your endeavors, and I hope that we are able to collaborate again, and that one day you can come on over into the Lowry Institute and we can chat even more in person. So thank you again so much for coming in. You can close out in whichever way you would like.
Oh, thank you. I'll try and make a short close.
No problem.
The close is this. This is the time where we have to mobilize. My donkey agrees. Okay. That is the alarm bell of how urgent the situation is. And it is so dire. I am so sad right now that our voting turnout number are kind of low. Okay.
Yeah.
We need at least 500,000 more people to show up between today and then on Tuesday. And even if you don't vote for me, you stinking show up. Even if you're not worried that there are so many people on the ballot, I don't want you guys to be intimidated by it, okay? Show up and go vote and take a friend, because if we don't clock in, it's going to hurt our ability to have the best people to go fight the Republican in November.
Absolutely.
Of course, I'm biased. Vote for Cam Ashling, first on the ballot, Secretary of State. Okay, but help me help us, and help you and your future kids. Okay.
Absolutely.
Everything is on the line. You guys can do this. You're the only group who can do this.
Yep, everything is on the line. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much again for coming, and thank you to all of our viewers who are watching. We hope that you continue to watch all of our other candidate interviews with the other candidates. So thank you again so much for stopping by, and good luck to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Change. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with today's elected official. Like, follow, subscribe to us on YouTube and social media for more conversations about these and other important topics. Thank you, and have a great day.